hello everyone and welcome back to this series where people tell you about them so that you can learn and get smarter and better and more knowledgeable. And today I am honored to have a very cool guy, and it's...
I'm Andrew. I am Ferguson is my last name. I am a character designer for Free Filmworks. And I've done all kinds of shows like Talking Puppet and Give Mouse Cookie and Hilda, which I think more people are most familiar with. Yeah, I'm doing some Disney shows right now that I can't tell you about. What else? I do a lot of cartoons and stuff. Oh, are we recording the video too? The screen?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm already prepared with my Yoshi feature. So yeah, I've been working in animation for about 12 years. And half that's been character design, half that's been animations. So I have quite a bit of experience there with doing other people's cartoons, and I hope to transition into making more of my own cartoons.
Ooh, that's nice. And I think that's a recurring theme so far in the little interviews I made. Like today I'm gonna pester you with character design questions, but I know that you've done many other things, like you do storyboard in your time. So more often than not, people will not just focus on one trade. It's good to be curious and do multiple things. So yeah, I see lots of my students that say things like, oh, I don't want to be an animator, I don't want to animate ever, all I want to do is character designs and concept art. And I'm like, you might have to branch out at one point and explore other avenues.
I think that's probably like you don't have to, but there's a lot of variety in the animation industry, so you can do all kinds of stuff. You probably should if you don't want to be bored. It helps to branch out and learn new things occasionally. I like to jump around a little bit. Storyboarding is not really a profession. I've never had that job professionally, but I've had to use it anyway for shorts of my own, and it's just a nice little practice to get your drawings out quickly. Design, you don't really get things out quickly. The first rough pass, you do pretty much a whole bunch of variations of what you think the goal is. And inevitably there's all kinds of revisions and director adjustments, things like that.
And it's the holiday time, so let's have a small talk about the holiday stuff. So do you have any favorite dish, traditions, or songs, or something that you really love about the holiday times?
There's this Jello dish my family used to make. I know it's not really Christmassy, but
well, Christmassy can be anything you want for Christmas. I have a friend India who eats pavlova for Christmas. I eat lasagna every year for Christmas. That's my Christmas tradition. Who cares about turkey, right? If you want to have Jello for Christmas, have Jello for Christmas.
We do that too. The Jello has mandarins and stuff in it, and the other Christmas colors.
Oh, that's cute.
So that's kind of a nostalgic one. That's always been there. In terms of meal things, we usually kind of mix it up. Turkey dinners, potatoes and stuff.
Is it the kind of Jello thing that is half Jello, half cream thing? I see that a lot for Christmas.
Yeah, I have different variations. You can do that. You have marshmallows in it.
What? Marshmallow and Jello? I have to try this out. Are you that kind of person who blasts your speakers with Michael Bublé songs for Christmas, or are you on the other side of the spectrum?
Definitely not Michael Bublé. Yeah.
But he's the Lord of Christmas.
Not my lord.
Alright, and 2020 has been one heck of a year for many reasons, but can you share one amazing positive thing that occurred during this year?
There's a lot of people that were finally faced with the silence that they never had to deal with. And that can be seen as a bad thing, but I see it as a really self-reflective opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And there were moments of, when lockdown first started happening around our area in Ottawa, the highway was quiet, because I live near the highway. It was almost like I was in a cottage or something. The streets were so quiet for a while, because everyone's inside, afraid. And it's probably a good thing to be, but at least social isolation. But the streets were pretty much empty, so that was a nice new experience inside the city.
I finally started to learn how to drive during COVID because, there was no one on the road.
Yeah, nice safe living ground. Appreciate that.
Just before the snow comes back.
Hmm. You have to get your winter driving in too, though.
Hmm?
You have to get your winter driving in too.
Yeah.
It's
Let's,
a
yeah.
older game.
In time, in time. And when you work, because I see you're drawing and having fun with
Yeah.
that kind of Yosh character, sort of.
Carried away.
What are something that really inspire you when you create? Because sometimes you work for you, but sometimes you work for Mercury, for your studio. And I know lots of students sometimes have difficulty doing stuff that is not their own very soul. What inspires you to keep working even though it's for work, for studio?
What is a job? So I'm there for the paycheck, ultimately.
Yep.
But I could be anywhere, really. Honestly, I could be at any studio. But Mercury has a nice kind of family environment. Because we go way back 12 years. So they're basically like kind of my family. So I like to see how the studio grows and how new people come in. They experience the shows and learn different ways, doing the same things as everyone else, but everyone has their own kind of specialty. They bring their own flavor to the work. I like to see how the people grow.
So like the people around you are a good source of inspiration for you?
Yeah, they can be.
That's nice. That's not something I usually hear. That's very cool. And the typical question, what got you into animation? Like, what made you really want to go into that field?
Always wanted to. At some point, I realized it was a lot of work, so I didn't want to. And I was right. It's a ton of work. But yeah, I resisted it for years. I started college in art fundamentals, not really knowing what I was going to do, but I knew that. And I happened to live with two third-year animators in that first year.
Wow.
So they kind of opened the doors. I got to see a little bit of what they did. And it wasn't too bad off the front. It wasn't, maybe school wasn't as much work as I thought. But yeah, I like the storytelling element of cartoons. You can kind of get to play visually, do things that you can't in live action.
Yeah, because illustration and drawing your character still frame is fun, but when you see it move, it's like breathing life into it. It's like next level.
Sure, yeah. Definitely magic.
So is this one of the things you enjoy the most about your work? Like the fact that it finally comes alive and lives on its own?
Yeah, definitely.
So you're currently a character designer. And what is the daily life of a character designer in the studio? Like, how's your day? Do you just sit there and create characters for fun? I guess
I wish. Honestly, a majority of it is cleanup work and turnarounds, and I mean, it sounds amazing on the start, but it has the moments of amazing, and really it is kind of filling in the gaps where there's things missing. That's an inspiring answer.
No, but that's the job. That's the job. So you're talking about turnarounds. Do you usually have, like, they're gonna give you a character like quarter front, and then you have to kind of think your way around the different angles?
Yeah. Usually the main characters are already designed from the client or the creator of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Some creators have input on the character designs, and some are just more in the writing side.
So I guess, yeah, for established character, it's about doing a lot of redresses as well, right? Because I think I saw a bunch of your Hilda redresses.
Yep. Special posing, we call that. It's like reference for animation and also for builds. So I do draw the characters a lot, the main characters, especially the new characters. And the funny thing is that the main character is usually the hardest of all characters to draw.
How come?
Something about them that's special or a little weird.
Just for Hilda or for like in general?
In general. Yeah, in general.
Huh. I always would have thought that they were kind of easier because you draw them a lot. So that's very interesting of an answer.
I think in some ways easier, but also there's higher pressure because they are the main characters, so they're the star.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to be correct.
And you mentioned special posing. So I guess it's different in every studio, but I guess at Mercury it falls under character designs shoulders. So can you tell us a bit more about that? Like, what is a special pose job like?
So usually we have the storyboards first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pose might be a little bit off model, so we have to correct it. Or maybe the director wants the pose pushed more before animation gets it. And really, a lot of time, animators, especially out of school, so they're not really practiced with drawing all these characters. They may be good at drawing their own stuff. And they usually are. And it takes a little bit of work for them to get the style. When you have someone who is a character designer who's used to drawing different styles and has been practicing the show style, it's kind of their specialty to kind of bring out more of that in the show.
Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of teamwork.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for the insight, because that's very interesting to know, because like you know and I know that character design is more than just drawing characters all day. But I think this will be very interesting to especially students who are interested into getting in the trade. I guess when you draw characters, it's not just about drawing turnarounds, like you said, it's about special posing and really pushing these poses as far as you can. So do you have some advice to learn how to push your poses a bit more? I know typically people will say, well, do a lot of figure drawing, but I guess there's more. Do you have some little insight about that?
Yeah, there's other things you can bring into it. It doesn't have to be. My figure drawing is good for some shows, but I'm actually not really that school because I like my cartoons nice and goofy and loose. Figure design, figure drawing can only take you so far. You have to learn how to break some realistic rules, and some of that can come from you can focus on the silhouette of the character, or from pushing the expression by drawing in many different styles. And the more you braid, and the more that you practice different styles, and the more you play around with it, and the more you break your rules and challenge yourself, you get slowly get a larger library of little tricks and tips here and there.
I guess that's it for the work-related question, unless you think I forgot something. Oh, I did forget something. Well, I guess now you've been at Mercury for a while. And I guess that's pretty different in every studio, but is there a department that is very tightly tied to character design department? Is there a department that you work closer with? Maybe it's animation, rigging. Do you sometimes provide reference for FX as well? Is it like how intertwined are these departments?
So mostly animation. For special posing, anyway. But for pre-production, we tend to talk a lot with builds. There might be some back and forth too about like maybe builds can't do something or can't efficiently do something that we designed.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Rat King in Hilda was a good example. There was some bit back and forth there because it was a pile of rats.
That must have been crazy.
It wasn't too bad. We had an idea of how to handle the kind of bubble design of the crowd so that it looked appealing. And came up with a more efficient design for builds and for animation to handle.
Is there some artist that you look up to? Of course, you cannot think of every one of them right now. I guess it's okay. It's okay to forget people. You can name a few, and also, if you want, you can send me a bunch of others that I can put into the description. But yeah, is there some artists that you look up to that we could Google? Is there some artists that you look up to that we could research to learn from, or just have a look for the fun of our eyes?
That's definitely fun to look. Ralph Bakshi is a big inspiration of mine. Maybe not for his content, but he's a little rough around the edges. But the way he operates, he likes to give some creative control to his animators. Or he did. I don't think he's working anymore. But yeah, he's a very kind of chaotic director and everything like that. Gendy Tartakovsky is another one.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we know Samurai Jack. And that's kind of one of the cartoons that in college helped me make the decision to go into animation.
Nice.
Just his understanding of atmosphere and simplicity of design.
I was a kid when it came out, so it was always super just weird to me, especially since it was in English and I didn't speak English, so I didn't understand most of what was going on, but it sure was pretty, and I kept watching without understanding what it was all about.
You don't even need language to understand it. It's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. That's one thing I love about art in general. It's you don't even need to usually. Okay. I travel a lot with my job. Like I used to travel a lot with my job, and one thing I love to do is just go watch a movie in the country I'm in. I watched the Little Pony movie in Denmark in Danish. I watched Frozen 2 in Japanese in Tokyo, and I love how I cannot understand all of the story, but I can understand quite a lot of it just from watching the expression and the design and stuff. So if you ever want to have a cool exercise, people watching this video, try and watch another movie in another language without any subtitles. That's a very cool thing. That'll teach you a lot about how clear your story can be.
Yeah, if it's good, you don't even notice after a point. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm following. That guy's motivation is this. He's out to save this person.
It's crazy how even without language, you can kind of get if a character is good or not, usually from like the designer, just the way they move, and that is so cool. I love that. You character designer people are doing a very good job. Most of the time.
Sometimes, we'll see. Yeah, and also the cinematography does a lot too. Even just a low angle can do so much.
Do you have any suggestions of books or other accessible learning media we can easily find either online or at the library and stuff? I'm all good. I'm all up for a bunch of free advice that people can have.
You mean for character design?
Yeah, or animation in general. Just I read a super good book about live action effects. I mean, I'm not in live action, but that was just interesting. Any good books for about art and stuff that you enjoyed?
I'm gonna take that a different direction, actually, because I've been
taking in the direction that you want.
Yeah, in storytelling. There's a really good book called Save the Cat.
Save the Cat? I love that book. Please talk about it.
Right,
spread the knowledge of that book, please.
Right here, somewhere. It is by
Blake something.
Blake Snyder.
Yeah.
It has a super awesome formula for how to start telling a story, and it has helped me a lot with Robbie Hood to try and fix a little issues I might have had here and there with clarity. It's really good. It comes with you can find a cheat sheet for it online. It's called the Blake Snyder Beat Sheet, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of lays out a script proportionally. So you get an idea of where to jump in Act 2, where to jump in Act 3, and the transitions between like moving from, say, the fun part of the show to the climax and the conflict. It's really good. I
mean, it's a book that was not written yesterday. It's dating a bit because I've read so many people just getting angry at that book. And I'm like, come on, take it for what it is. And it is a very good book for lots of advice about your story. And I don't know for you, but it really made me critical about the stuff I write. And like to try to maybe not so much avoid the cliche, but kind of embrace them for what they are and try to use the cues that your viewer can kind of get and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. You use it, not to be used by it, right?
Yeah. I mean, pretty. But I'm glad that you mentioned that book. I was really hoping somebody would mention it during these little interviews. So I'm really glad you did. Very good book. I think he made a sequel. I didn't read it yet. Yeah, I think he made a sequel of all the things he forgot in the first one. So that's interesting. With more cheat sheet and stuff. Yeah, I have to check it out. I thought that last year. But yeah, that totally counts for a good book to advise to people. And oh wow, I'm right on time. And now for the final-ish words. It's a question I ask to everyone coming on board for these little videos. So final words. As artists, we tend to be kind of sensitive-ish little people, and we deal with a fair share of like rough ideas and rough passes, and these passes where either we hate everything we create, or just like we don't want to do anything, and little darker times. And I know we're not like professional health provider or something, but I guess just sharing how we cope with that can maybe help others feel better, or just have more keys on how to deal with such times. So yeah, do you have any advices for artists going through rough passes or lack of motivations and stuff? How do you deal with it usually, if you have it? I guess you don't do.
Yeah, sometimes I get frustrated with revisions I don't agree with, especially because I've been in the industry for a little while. So when I get revisions from somebody who's new, it can be different. And you just have to know that they're just opinions, ultimately. Nobody's really right.
That's true.
So some things are right for the show. So you have to know that whoever's in control, like the director, it's their job to make it right.
That's a nice point of view, yeah, because at the end of the day, art is super, super subjective. And yeah, good piece of advice. Well, Andrew, I think this is it for today. And I really thank you for coming on board for this little project and giving me an hour of your time.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I really hope you had fun. And unless you have anything else to add, I think we're gonna call it a day.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me on your show.
And where can we find you? You have a Twitter, Instagram? Do you have something else?
I have Instagram. I don't have Twitter
I thought you
it's a lot of
did.
words. I used to. I didn't really use it.
Okay, that's it.
So on Instagram, I am at fergs.art. That's fergs.art. And I'm also on YouTube with the same name. Not really a lot on there, but I will have my short stuff on there eventually. And I have a website that's pretty new.
Ooh.
You can find that at fergsart, all one word, .card with 2 R's, .co. And on there, I'm posting all my projects. I put everything on there in one place.
That would be convenient. And surprise, before we part ways, I have to know, what's your favorite animated movie right now? For your life, you have to answer. You have 5 seconds to answer.
I loved the recent Spider-Man movie. Not recent.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse, because I'm not normally a fan of superhero stuff, at least not since I was a teenager. But that one blew my mind. Like, the animation was really cool. The style was awesome. The music fit it perfectly. It was like a really good remake of what Spider-Man, an update of what Spider-Man needs to be right now.
It was a cool, fresh breath of fresh air.
Indeed.
All right. Well, thank you for answering this surprise question, and I wish you an amazing day.
You sneak. Have a good one.